What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down what the news, data, and technicals are telling us about the overall market and also for NIO, and why on earth NIO's latest deliveries report is not that great in my opinion, despite what the articles are saying about it. So I'm going to talk about why on earth that is in my opinion, what's going on with the data affecting NIO, what NIO just reported for deliveries, how it may affect NIO's share price moving forward from here. But before I break anything down about this information, though, before I get into any more details, I have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NEO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the shop down below and in the description. If you check it out, guys, it should be very close to the comment section. If you're interested in buying a shirt that says to the moon or something very cool like that, I have lots of apparel for you, especially the t-shirts, which are very popular. If you want to buy a shirt that says to the moon in commemorance of your admiration for the channel or Neo, I would really appreciate it. If not, it's completely fine with me. But the bottom line is, now I want to talk about Neo. Neo is just a little bit in the red, and the real question is, could she try to get a bounce from here or try to push up? Well, it's going to depend on the market and also the reaction we get to this next report that just came out. Now, before I talk about Neo, though, I want to talk about just a couple of things. We had SoFi's earnings and just a couple of others. Not too great, not too horrible. But for tomorrow, we have Uber, Pfizer, and Ford reporting earnings. Make sure you're ready for a lot of these, especially AMD. And then Wednesday is going to not be too significant. We just have like CVS and a couple of others. But Thursday is going to be massive. We have Shopify, Moderna, Peloton, Coinbase, and also Apple is going to be the big one for Thursday. Expect a big reaction on Friday. All right, so it's going to be very impactful. As far as the data goes, today the PMI report was actually very close to expectations. We actually got a positive reaction to it in the beginning, but the manufacturing data came out and it actually showed higher manufacturing prices than expected, which is telling us that prices could be going up, inflation could be going up soon. The market did not like it, and that's part of why the market started selling off after the first 30 minutes. But then the market tried to rebound, and now we're pretty flat. The JOLTS numbers are coming out for tomorrow. We want this to be low, so make sure you're on the lookout for this 30 minutes after open. Then for Wednesday, don't forget about the FOMC meeting when Jerome Powell is going to speak. Expect a crazy move. Now, the last thing I'm going to say about the market is for SPY. We have about almost 1 million puts expiring on Friday. This is going to be very, very impactful for the markets. It could cause another short squeeze, or it could cause a big drop in the markets because the market makers could technically handle it because we only have a 410 max pain. But the 2.13 put to call ratio tells me there's a good chance the market might try to hold up. That is going to depend on Apple's earnings. The market is just closing right now. SPY did drop a bit. But now let's talk about NIO. So these headlines are coming out saying NIO reports EV deliveries. They jump a lot more than 30% for April. Is that really the truth? The answer is yes. But you have to remember that last year during like April and May, China had those lockdowns and NIO and a lot of these companies struggled a lot. Even Tesla went through some hits because of it. And I say this because are we really going to compare NIO now to like back then a year ago? And if we do, how much better are they doing? I think the better comparison could be made between the previous month and the last few months of this quarter to like right now that what data just came out. Altogether, NIO has about 327,000 deliveries by the end of April. They also have over 1,700 electric SUVs and almost 5,000 sedans that were actually delivered. So not bad from that end, but when we look at the numbers, things are not looking that great, in my opinion. And let me just first state that yes, there was a 31% increase year over year, 37,000 plus new vehicles for the first 4 months, and that's an increase by 22.2%. Once again, over 300,000 in total. But then when you look at the charts, it looks like this. As you can see, there was a big decline here. So the really light rectangles are for 2022. The very darker ones are going to be for 2023. January was strong for both years. Big decline in February of 2022, but we got a very strong February this year. March was pretty strong, but then April was a very big decline compared to like March, compared to every month of this year, it's a big decline actually if you look at it month over month, and that's not very good for NIO. But there is an improvement compared to April. We are technically seeing an increase. So let me actually zoom into this and show you. Compared to April, so this is April right here. We had 5,000 last year. This year we have over 6,000. But once again, I'm not very impressed by this. And the reason for that is because when you look at some competitors, Xbong is also not doing as well, I believe. I read that they delivered about 7,000 EVs in April. That's not insanely good. It's just okay. But Li Auto, here's the big part. Li Auto actually broke a new record with 25,000 units once again being delivered in April. Their previous record was 21,000 in March. So they're killing it. Some of these Chinese EVs are killing it. But then NIO, yes, they did see a big increase compared to April, but at least Benzinga reports it properly. That's a almost 40% drop from March deliveries. That's once again not great in my opinion. I also have more numbers, sorry, right here. I hope you guys could see this. I know it's a little hard to tell. You could pause the video and look at this if you need some more time, but look at these dark blue rectangles. Every dark blue one is 2022. And you can see we're getting these big increases near the end of 2022. And then starting 2023, the red ones, strong January, pretty decently strong because we had the Lunar New Year, so it was a little slow. Strong February, very strong February from NIO. March was pretty strong, getting double digits in the thousands for deliveries. It's over 10,000 deliveries. Then April comes, and look at this. April is not very good. This is a big decrease compared to March. Look at the red rectangle here compared to this one. Big decrease in April. And then on top of that, of course, our numbers are going to be better than 2022 is because they had lockdowns. But this is actually weaker than May 2022 during the lockdowns. This is weaker than 2021 April, right? Not a very, very good quarter. I'm sorry, month. Not a very, very good month so far. And I say that because NIO was telling us that we should be expecting 250,000 deliveries for the year. I would love to see NIO achieve that, but we're going to need to start increasing deliveries as soon as possible. What does concern me now is like NIO said that they're not going to be cutting prices or participating in the price war that Tesla started in their opinion. So if they're not going to be doing this, well, demand is clearly slowing down a bit. They may have to resort to cutting prices again. They may have to end up doing that if they want to bring these deliveries up. So I'm not too sure about that, how it's going to go going forward, but we do have a tendency of seeing big increases in NIO's sales and deliveries between sometimes in May, but usually around June, July, and sometimes August. So I'm hoping we get a stronger next few months for NIO. I want to see them get back above 10,000 deliveries. I know it's becoming more difficult for them. The price price ratio is very low as NIO has been underperforming. We're getting equal weight ratings for NIO. We tend to be green 55% of the time on Tuesday, so I am hoping for something better. But the short interest, it's also declining so far. We only saw about, I think, like 5 million NIO shares shorted. 36 million was the volume, pretty average, not a whole lot else from there. So what do I see for the share price? SPY closed around 415.53. For tomorrow, what's important to notice, we do have a negative divergence on the 1 hour time frame. If we're bullish, we're going to test 416 to 418. If we're bearish, we're going to retest 415. If that fails, it could come all the way down to about 413.48, which is a 50 EMA retest, if not a little lower than that. What do I think is going to happen? I'm still seeing more sideways price action, maybe a bit of a sell-off. I think we need to cool off just a little bit more before we get a very big reaction to FOMC. For Tesla, I'm seeing something very similar. I think Tesla might try to pop in the morning to test 163, fail, retest 160, and just trade sideways and flats, not really do too much approaching FOMC. For the QQQ, I think this thing has a negative divergence, which is barely starting to play out. Right here, you could see, zooming out of it, this thing was on an uptrend. RSI has been lowering, and we actually have this crossover on the PPO, which is creating more bearish momentum. So the QQQ might come down to retest the 50 EMA to 320. I'm seeing it maybe popping in the morning, trading sideways, and maybe selling off a little bit more. But once again, I'm not seeing a crash or anything like that right now. What I'm seeing is a slight pullback, right before the FOMC meeting, and we tend to see lots excuse me, sorry guys. We tend to see lots of profit taking before big events like this. Now, NIO has a potential crossover on the PPO, still holding up okay, but once again, it's down over 0.89%. Typically, when we get strong deliveries, this thing tends to start pumping to the upside the same day. Didn't really get that for NIO because Wall Street, many investors know that, hey, last month NIO did over 10,000 deliveries. This month they did a little over 6,000. So big decrease compared to the previous month. I need to see better numbers for NIO for them to meet their goals. I'm still optimistic for the company, of course, but once again, we have to be very cautious. Now, what else is interesting is the price has been technically declining. We've been on a downtrend, but the MACD and the signal line, the PPO has been on an uptrend, and we also have an uptrend on the RSI, which is forming what appears to be a potential bullish divergence. I don't know how bullish it's going to become and what's going to trigger it. So I don't know if NIO is going to try to make an attempt to the upside tomorrow, but it could actually start approaching earnings, or maybe because of Apple or the market performing a lot better because of Apple. So what I'm seeing for NIO is just very sideways price action tomorrow. I think NIO is going to make an attempt to retest 8, fail there, come all the way back down to about 7.5, trade sideways and maybe close a little red. I'm seeing a very flat state tomorrow, not a whole lot, because it's the last close before the FOMC meeting. So make sure you guys are prepared for that. I'm seeing very sideways price action, not a whole lot, unless we get a catalyst, which I'm not seeing so far. And I think NIO is going to close a little bit in the red. However, don't forget that the market's going to have a big reaction to FOMC on Wednesday, and that's why I think the market may be a little slow tomorrow as we get ready for it. So until then, that's what I have for this video. As far as NIO's deliveries goes, I really hope that NIO could really improve going forward. But for now, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we need better numbers to keep the price action, going forward and improving. Until then, thank you all for listening. Let's hope NIO does better in their future reports. We want stronger fundamentals. And please know it's not the end for the company. For the long term, I'm still very bright. We're just going through a hard time for now. But for many years to come, I'm extremely, extremely bullish on NIO. I have not lost faith. Don't forget about the shop down below, guys, if you're interested in buying a shirt that says to the moon, or we have options, or eat, sleep, trade, repeat. Check it out if you're interested. Thank you all so much for listening. NIO to the moon as the long term is very bright, and peace out.